When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candle lights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. Welcome. Well, come in. Kindly step all the way in, please, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now. Welcome, everyone, Haunted Mansion fans, young and old. I decided to do a little mini review of the most recent Haunted Mansion movie that is currently in theaters, and I waited a good week. Before I did this video, a little bit longer than that, because I wanted to sit and think about my feelings about what I got done watching. And if you hear any rustling in the background, it may be the sounds of unseen spirits, or perhaps disembodied souls. Anyway, it could also be my cat. So here's the thing. We got a really solid movie from Disney, but we kind of didn't get the movie that I wanted. And I think the movie that maybe we all deserved. And here's what I mean by that. The original Haunted Mansion film came out in 2003, right? This is the Eddie Murphy film. And this particular film was about a family that was just invented for the movie, right? These are not human characters that were part of the ride or any of the lore. And there was this case of mistaken identity between Eddie Murphy's character's wife and the true love of Edward Gracie, who was the Lord of the Manor in the original movie. And so there was this strange kind of story of, oh, she kind of looks like her, and because of that, that's why she gets invited to the mansion and brings her family along. So the whole movie kind of rotated around this singular plot point, and to me, it wasn't the strongest plot point to hinge all of that on. So enter the 2023 movie, and while the story's not entirely different, you still have a family that comes to visit the house. Now, they were not visiting to move in 2003, so it's a little bit different, but they did go to the house to move in 2023. It's a little bit different, right? Just a mother and son in this story, instead of a nuclear family in the 2003 film. And so the main difference is that now we've got a family moving in. They acknowledge that it's haunted right away, and their whole mission is to rid the house of ghosts that are plaguing them and following them anywhere they go, following them home when they tried to leave, or really to any place they tried to leave. They couldn't escape the ghosts who were haunting them, the hitchhiking ghosts. They weren't the hitchhiking ghosts from the ride. They're just ghosts that happened to hitchhike. So things are a little bit different, right? Anyway, I think this go around was a lot better, but why I'm making this video, the whole point of what I'm trying to get at is we almost got there. With this one. What they ended up doing that I think was right on the tip of something brilliant was they showed us who some of the ghosts were when they were alive. They gave us a little bit of backstory to the Hatbox Ghost and to Gracie. They gave a little bit of history, even a little bit of Captain Gore, who's the seafaring captain. Anyway, where I'm going with all this is I think that's really all the movie needed to be. I think the movie we should have gotten was, instead of inventing a bunch of human characters, right? Characters that have nothing to do with the ride. They could have just stuck with the characters that make the mansion what it is, also known as the ghosts. You may be asking yourself, Phil, why do you think that people want to watch a movie about the ghosts? Well, that's the reason why people visit the mansion, right? We go there for the ghosts, the ride I'm referring to. And yes, I understand the idea of we have to have some kind of a character that the audience can relate to and bond with and care about. But see, here's where my little idea came in. I think if they were going to do a Haunted Mansion movie and they asked me to provide the plot points, here's what I would have said. On the ride, there's this really great character that makes a brief appearance when you first enter the graveyard, right? And he is a very scared looking groundskeeper or caretaker, and he has a bloodhound or basset hound, some kind of a dog that looks like that. And they're looking kind of concerned. He has a lantern, he's looking around, and then you emerge into the cemetery or the graveyard, and there's ghosts everywhere. Okay, well, that's our human character. We already have a human character. So what I propose Disney do with any future film adaptations of the Haunted Mansion, if that ever happens again, would be tell the story of the groundskeeper, how he came to be on the grounds, how did he become the caretaker of this property, and through his interaction with the ghosts and the house itself, because the house is a character, right? The mansion is a character. Then we get to learn about all of the different, or maybe not all, you have to pick a few of them, right? We're not going to do all 999. But pick a select group of ghosts, and maybe he gets to know those characters. Maybe we get to learn about their backstories, and those become the cast members of the film, not a group of living humans that come to the house. This idea that I'm proposing kind of feels to me like the TV show from the BBC called Ghosts. And yes, they did have a United States adaptation, which no, I did not watch very much of the adaptation, but I did watch all of the original BBC show. And that show is exactly what I described. We have two human characters who come to live in the mansion or the house or whatever you want to call that house. And they want to turn the place into a hotel. And then they become, they encounter these ghosts, and one of the two characters can actually see them. So she develops relationships with these ghosts, and they become part of the cast. So, I don't know, I think that's just a much more interesting premise, and here's part of why I'm saying this. We have these brand new human characters, right? Played by amazing actors. Look, the performances they're fantastic. Danny DeVito did a great job. I'm blanking on everyone's name right now because I'm tired, but everyone did a great job. Okay. And the thing about that disappointed me was not everyone's performances. Like Lakeith was phenomenal, right? He's a great main character. But while he was great and all the actors were great, there were these moments where they would flash over to characters like the hitchhiking ghosts, and those characters made an appearance for a moment. They're only in the film for a brief moment. So my point is, why are we cameoing the whole point of the ride? The point of the ride are the ghosts. Why are we giving them like these minor appearances in the film? That's what I couldn't figure out. So I think the 2023 film is a better spin on what the 2003 film attempted to do. In some ways, I love the practical effects they did with Leota in the 2003 film. I prefer practical effects over digital effects. Okay, so if I had to give props to the 2003 film, I would say that's, they had Rick Baker doing the incredible makeup for the zombie type creatures in the mausoleum. that stuff's great. There's a lot of great, the house itself is beautiful in the 2003 film. There's aspects to both movies that work really well. There's a lot of beautiful visual elements, but where I think they're losing people is in the premise and to some degree the narrative. I don't mind the idea of a cast of characters coming in to exorcise a house of its ghosts. I don't think that's a bad idea. I just think the most interesting parts of the film were when we got to see the ghosts more, right? Instead of making them this like hidden thing, like the monster in Jaws, right? The Jaws, the shark. Instead of doing that, I think making them the main character would just be more compelling. And when they give the backstory to Atticus, is it Atticus Crump? If I'm saying his name right, the Hatbox Ghost. When they showed his backstory, it was so interesting and cool. When Lakeith goes into, and his character Ben goes into the ghost world and sees a bunch of different spirits and interacts with Gracie, that is so much more interesting. So to me, I think a whole movie of that kind of stuff would have been really great. And there's so much lore in the Haunted Mansion ride. There's so many characters that have backstories and histories and character designs, all these great things that they could mine. They could mine those things for some really interesting movie scenes. And so I think that's where I'm at with it. I think they did a good job with this movie, but it still wasn't the Haunted Mansion that I wanted. And hopefully they'll give it another go at some point. I hope the movie does well enough that they can build on it. What do you think? Did you see the Haunted Mansion movie? Sorry if I gave spoilers and you hadn't seen it. But what do you think? You feel free to tell me in the comments below this video if you like the 2003 film, if you like the 2023 film, if you like them both. Maybe you like some things and didn't like other things. Either way, let me know. And I would greatly appreciate a subscribe and like of this video, because it really does help the channel a lot. So thanks so much. Halloween is coming up. This would have been a great movie to see in theaters during Halloween. That's a whole nother kettle of fish, why they released it at the end of July. But be that as it may, I'm going to be watching both of them on home video, on Blu-ray, when Halloween rolls around. Regardless of anything I said for personal preference, I'm still going to watch them both. There's a lot of great ambiance and great characters to be seen in both films. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, go check out the Haunted Mansion. It's definitely worth your time. It's worth watching. Even if it isn't something that I would have written myself, I still respect and appreciate all the hard efforts done by the cast and crew, because it's a lot of work to make a movie, folks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great night. And see you next time.